Can somebody help me?
Hello and good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today, excuse me, for the Rhode Island Coalition to End Homelessness Annual Awards Breakfast, a celebration of courage. I'm going to now introduce our Executive Director, Caitlin Mary, who's going to give a few remarks before kicking it back to me and starting our event. Caitlin?
Thank you so much for coming together and also being patient with us in this virtual time where we are collectively getting together over the internet, which isn't always super conducive. I just want to welcome everybody here and also just say thank you for being here. We know there's so much going on in the world, and so taking time out of your day to congratulate the fantastic work of our award winners and really everyone that works to end homelessness in Rhode Island every day. This work would not happen without you, and it's exceptionally challenging, especially right now. So thank you for coming together, and I look forward to speaking with you over the next hour or so during our event.
So my name, everyone, is Cristina Contreras Fox. My pronouns are she, her, ella, and I'm the Senior Policy Analyst at the Coalition. It is so wonderful to be here, even virtually, with our beloved community this morning, celebrating our incredible colleagues. To me, courage means resolution and action, even in the face of adversity and fear. I am so, so happy to help honor Michelle Dussault, Ruth Diamond Madsen, Kevin Simon, and the entire team at Sojourner House who exemplify courage in my eyes. Excuse me. But before we start handing out plaques ceremoniously and virtually, we have some powerful speakers. And right now, it is my great honor and pleasure to introduce my fellow Assumption College alumni, Dr. Dan McKee.
Well, Christina, thank you so much for having me here today, and congratulations to you and Caitlin and the whole team at the Rhode Island Coalition to End Homelessness, and go Greyhounds. Yes, that's great. You know, I meet every once in a while, we do meet the Assumption College grads, and so we're very proud to you know, celebrate that work that was done there, you know, during that time in school. But we're here to celebrate the work that you're doing right now. And recognizing people in this crucial work, you know, to our communities, life-changing for many of Rhode Islanders' most vulnerable residents. And during the pandemic, I don't think that, you know, it just magnified the need for leadership in many, many areas, including serving the community and saving lives, working to end homelessness in the state of Rhode Island. And I want to just say that Rhode Island so grateful for your leadership and the coalition's leadership during the pandemic, and the fact that Rhode Island leaders want to support you, and you're seeing that with the full congressional team here. I use the 15 seconds all the time to say Rhode Island is in really good shape right now, where, you know, we've kind of reversed. When I came into governor, we were the highest death rates and the highest infection rates in the country, and the lowest vaccination rates. We've been able to flip that, but part of the reason we've been able to do that is with the support of our congressional leaders, and in securing resources that can come into the state to help us work through all the complications, all the puzzles that we need to solve, which is homeless is one of those things. So I want to just say that, you know, we look forward to working with you, with all your advocates. I just got a chance to talk to Michelle offline. Tremendous youth involvement. We love the youth being involved. So I want to just thank you for your advocacy at the state level. We know that with some of the dollars that we're bringing in through the federal delegation, through with Senator Reid, Senator White House, Congressman Langevin, Congressman Cicilline, that has positioned us in a way to really address some of our most pressing challenges and needs. And we look forward to using some of those dollars and those resources to support the work that the coalition does. So, Christina, thank you so much. And thank you for your leadership. I'm happy to be here. And I'm just a phone call away, especially for our fellow grad from up there in Worcester on Salisbury Street. So congratulations to your work. I'm happy to be at the breakfast, as was mentioned before. I look forward to actually be in person at a breakfast next year, celebrate many successes from the work of the individuals that are going to be honored today. Congratulations to everybody who's being honored. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you over the next years of your service to the state of Rhode Island. And I love to be a small part of the work that ends homelessness in the state. working with the coalition to do just that. So thank you so much for having me here today. And congratulations to everyone.
Thank you so much, Governor. Excuse me. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And thank you for being present and being a partner in our work. I mean, elected officials, especially the leaders of our state like yourself, are essential. We need your partnership. We need your support if we are going to realize a Rhode Island where no one experiences homelessness. So thank you for being a part of that. So now it's my great pleasure to introduce some remarks from one of my dear friends and colleagues, Wendy Thomas. In addition to volunteering at Mathewson Street Church and serving on the board of the Providence Community Health Centers, Wendy is a leader of Voices of Homelessness, a speakers bureau with the coalition. Voices of Homelessness leaders advocate and share their stories to educate the public on what homelessness really is and to advocate for solutions and encouraging people to take action for change that ends and prevents homelessness in Rhode Island. Wendy's story is a powerful one, so please listen closely.
Wendy Thomas. I live in Providence. I'm on the Providence Community Health Center board. I'm also on Rhode Island Organizing Project, and I'm on the Voices of Homeless through the Coalition for the Homeless because I was homeless quite a few years ago due to a fire. You take one day at a time. I ended up being in Tanner House for a while, which got me with the right caseworker and got me into where I'm living now. I'm in permanent supportive housing. I'm working to improve myself by getting a voucher and getting another apartment or getting into a ugly apartment because I will be 62 this year. So yeah, we just take one day at a time and do what we can do and try to not get annoyed at the system moving so slowly because there is not enough affordable housing. And there is not enough landlords that will take the vouchers that we have, never mind getting more. So yeah, just moving slowly and trying to do what I can to improve myself and help anybody else that's in the same situation. You can't do it alone. Call your friends, call your governor, call your representatives, encourage them for more affordable housing. Yeah, and hopefully you'll know some landlords or you are a landlord that will take a section of voucher because that's guaranteed income. We can all just work together and try to get Rhode Island in a better place.
Thank you, Wendy. One of the guiding principles of the Coalition to End Homelessness is that our work will be informed by data, but by lived experience and expertise as well. So remember Wendy's story and remember her calls to action, because that is the reality of our state, but this is also what we can do to change it for the better. So keep that in mind as you listen now to our Executive Director, Caitlin Frumeri, present the 2021 State of Homelessness in Rhode Island. Caitlin.
Thank you so much. And we're just waiting a minute for the screen share feature to be added, but I wanna just acknowledge Wendy in that story too. And we're all having a hard time, but imagine the added effort if you were sleeping outside, or if you're even in a housing situation that isn't safe, you're doubled up. Really, it makes everything just so much more challenging when you don't have safe, affordable housing. And so as hard as we may all have it sometimes struggling with COVID and the Delta variant and schooling from home, it's even more challenging when there isn't that place to call home that's going to keep you warm and a roof over your head. So as Christina introduced, I'm going to do a State of Homelessness presentation as I do every year. I want to begin by just thanking everyone for all of their work. These are unprecedented times and the work is harder and harder than it's ever been. And I am in awe of the work and the dedication and the perseverance that I've seen. My remarks today are not going to be fluffy and positive. It's a tough situation we're in. When we talk about the state of homelessness or even the state of where we are in this year, it's not good. I'll end with some good things at the end, but just a fair warning, it's a tough snapshot to give. But I would not be serving you as our audience and our community if I didn't tell you how desperate things are. Last year, as you can see, I compared, as others have, that 2020 was kind of a dumpster fire, really, really tough. And in some ways, I feel like 2021 has been harder because we're tired. We've been persevering and carrying this trauma and this baggage this last year and are still facing new challenges every single day. So I'm going to briefly start with why homelessness happens. I think a lot of you understand this, but for those of you that may not fully get it or don't get how urgent it is now, I think it's always helpful to contextualize it. This is the average cost of a 2-bedroom apartment in Rhode Island, $1,600. This is a lot of money. This is how many hours a week you would need to work on minimum wage just to afford a 1-bedroom. That's not even to afford the 2-bedroom. So imagine you are a single mom with a young baby. You're trying to raise your child, get safe, affordable housing, keep a roof over your head. You don't have the ability to work 65 hours a week. That's almost 2 full-time jobs. So homelessness happens in Rhode Island because there isn't enough housing. There's no city or town in Rhode Island where a medium income renter could afford an apartment. To afford that $1,600 a month 2-bedroom, you would need to make $66,000 a year. And the medium kind of average renter of income of renters is $34,000. Now let's dial in to homelessness, right? So when we think about the Rhode Islanders who are experiencing homelessness, about 43% of them have absolutely no income, and another third make between $6,000 and $12,000 a year. So these are households, families, individuals that are entering our shelter system. And then when we look at the Rhode Islanders who are the most vulnerable, who are staying outdoors, about half of them have absolutely no income. And one little thing here I want to note is you're starting to see the incomes actually increase a little bit year to year because you can see multiple years here. What's happening is that housing is so expensive that even people with higher incomes, and calling somebody with $18,000 a year a high income, I know is a tone-deaf statement, but we're starting to see individuals with more money coming into homelessness because the crisis is that bad. It's impacting more and more individuals. So if you had a Rhode Islander that experienced homelessness that made what we saw in those last charts, let's say $8,000 a year, $200 is what they could afford for rent per month. Show me anything you can rent for $200 per month. You can't even rent a car for that, let alone a room, let alone an apartment. It's simply unsustainable, unreachable. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about where we are in trends. So we've talked about why it's happening. Let's talk about what's happening. And I'll start with COVID-19 and the impact of this pandemic. So there's really 3 big components of keeping a homeless system and really the rest of our state safe in a pandemic. First is vaccinations, right? If we have a vaccine that is able to prevent the spread of the illness, we should get that out to people, and we are. But there's a fair amount of vaccine hesitancy nationally and within this population. So there's about 45, 50, 55% over time that have been vaccinated that experience homelessness. And that's for a number of reasons. Some of them are too young. Some may be distrustful of state systems. Others have access issues. So you've got a population that is not vaccinated to the extent that could be to prevent the spread. Then you've also got settings where spreading of diseases is really likely. We all talk about daycare colds with our kids. It's a similar setting when you think about how is somebody going to safely isolate in a gymnasium with a bunch of bunk beds. You can't do it. It is a shared setting. So many homeless shelters are just not set up to be disease prevention settings, which makes the last piece and the most important piece is quarantine and isolation. So when you have someone that is COVID positive, that is experiencing homelessness and has no home to safely quarantine in, you need a QI facility. Over the span of the pandemic, the state has had that facility until very recently. We will have it soon again. The state is working on a new location and a new provider. But as of right now, there is no quarantine and isolation option provided by Department of Health for individuals experiencing homelessness that are COVID positive. That is horrifically challenging for the humans that are COVID positive and really for everyone else. And that needs to change, both for their health and the rest of the states. So when we think about the data, just to switch gears out of COVID really quickly, we look at how many people are experiencing homelessness. This is a big indicator for us. And in January, we had about 1,200 people on a given night experiencing homelessness. And that was an increase from last year and a significant increase in the number of those that were living outdoors. Then when we look at homelessness last month, and this is actually not including the domestic violence shelters, which were included in the last slide. So this is an underrepresentation. We had approximately 1,500 people homeless last month. 662 were living outdoors or in cars over a 30-day period. This is a dramatic increase. In previous years, it might be 100, 150 over a 30-day period. I have never in my entire 10, 15 years of doing this, see unsheltered numbers this high. And it's estimated that with the eviction moratorium ending, that it's just going to get worse. So why has unsheltered homelessness increased so dramatically? On this screen here, you can see the 2-week count. So each of these dates, it's whatever was indicated as unsheltered over the last 2 weeks as of that day. You can see how it changes over time. But what is really important to note is that it's increasing. And there are periods where it's a little bit less, and some of that has to do with housing, winter, shelter availability. But really, there just aren't enough emergency resources and people are being forced outside. And so the root of that is a housing market that is completely under-resourced. There is not enough housing for every level of the economy. And we have reached a point of so little housing stock that the system is completely overwhelmed and people have no choice but to head outside because there isn't a shelter bed, there isn't another resource. What there is a park bench, their car. So we're seeing a complete increase in those residing outside. And part of that too, I want everyone to remember too, is that there's also other things that are going on. We have an overdose epidemic happening with a significant increase in the number of overdose deaths. We are all struggling with the physical, mental health toll of this pandemic. High stress can trigger mental health, substance use issues for individuals. And we see with those experiencing homelessness, a significant portion who, particularly unsheltered, who have health conditions, mental health issues, substance use issues that are being exacerbated by their housing status and by the pandemic. Next, I'm going to switch gears to talking about our front door. And the coalition, as of December, is actually operating the help center. And this is where you can call. We're actually unveiling a text feature soon too to get information about shelter services and whatever else. On average, we get about 4,000 calls a week of Rhode Islanders looking for assistance. And you can see that those numbers have been significantly and scarily high. In January of last year, that was 6,000 calls. And this number does change over time, but I think the thing to note is really how significant the number of calls has been. Like we're really never, it feels like we're moving chairs around in the Titanic. The second you get someone connected with a resource or on the wait list for shelter, there's somebody else that's presenting that needs help, and there just simply isn't enough. And as I've mentioned, we have a large number of people outdoors that are waiting for shelter. And I want to just state, as of last week, we have 53 families with children residing outside. 53 Rhode Island families that are living outside because there isn't shelter space, emergency housing assistance, or even a unit. Let's say they had a voucher. There isn't the unit to physically put them in. They're all living outdoors, and it's getting colder and colder. And really, part of this is a simple supply and demand mismatch. So you can see that the demand, which is the higher number there, and the supply at the bottom, which is referrals to shelter, are mismatched. There is a gap there. And on average, we have a deficit of approximately 31 emergency housing units at each month to meet demand. So there is a backlog, particularly with families. So I'm going to briefly talk on who experiences homelessness, just to give everybody a reminder. I spoke earlier about income, so you have a sense that it's certainly individuals that have a very low income, and that is the key reason people are homeless. They can simply not afford rent. But we see a variety of situations in really every other way. We see a variety of ages. So again, 152 children are living in emergency shelter. We also see less and less individuals at high ages. And one might wonder why that is. And it's because experiencing homelessness is so traumatic and bad for your health that you die 20 years sooner than the average population. So 49.5 years of age is the average life expectancy of somebody experiencing homelessness. So it is a public health crisis. We also see a disparity in race and ethnicity. So this is a chart that shows families by race. So although Black Rhode Islanders make up only 6% of the state, they represent about half of the families living outside or in their cars. That is insidious, that is horrific, that is a sign of the systemic racism in our community for years and years and years, and a sign that we aren't doing enough. We also see that same disparity when we look at single adults and couples. And then when we take and focus in on Hispanic or Latinx Rhode Islanders, we also see a similar disparity. 15% of the population, 41% of those living in shelter when we're looking at families, and a similar disparity for single adults and couples. So I've talked to you about all of the horrific things, the racial disparities, the lack of units, the overwhelming homelessness that we're seeing. I do want to briefly, before I go into how we can fix it, talk about some good things that have happened, because I don't want it to be a completely devastating event. And there are wonderful work that is happening. So we have three big categories that I want to highlight. We've gotten some major federal grants. So there's finally going to be some money coming in to address youth homelessness in the state, as well as some emergency housing vouchers that came down from HUD. So these are resources in the desert we're in that allow us to house youth experiencing homelessness, house families, and get people out of the cycle of homelessness. We've also had some huge policy wins, the housing bond, permanent funding housing in the budget, source of income discrimination banned, pay for success passed, and both the policy wins and our federal grants could not have happened without our government partners. So our Senator Reid and our entire federal delegation advocating for the grants that are going to address these issues. And then I am so grateful to the General Assembly for everything they did this last session. I have never seen a General Assembly so supportive of this work, and I am beyond grateful for their recognition of this issue and their support of it. And lastly, we've also made some system changes that we're excited about. This help center is now open 365 days a year. You can call or text and get a live agent till 9 p.m. every day, including the holidays. We've also made some improvements to our database to make that easier and data more accessible. So while it is largely a very challenging picture when we consider the state of homelessness, it is certainly having some positive impacts that we're happy to share. So what's next? What do we need to do? Well, we need the state of Rhode Island to invest $500 million of the American Rescue Plan Act in affordable housing. We need to treat homelessness as the emergency that it is and immediately act to address this challenge. We need housing resources now. This is not something that can wait for the budget, that can wait for General Assembly to gavel back into session. We need to be addressing this crisis immediately. And part of that is supporting and funding emergency programs. So housing obviously is a long-term solution, but if people are dying on the streets, that housing that's going to come down a couple of years from now isn't going to help us then. So innovative programs like Echo Village by House of Hope, hotel programs, the fabulous diversion program at Crossroads, Rhode Island, safe parking lots. These are all crisis response programs that work, we know work, that need to be funded and need to be funded urgently. We also need the federal government and our fabulous delegation to continue to do what it's doing, advocating for housing choice vouchers to be expanded and converted into a title program so everybody who is eligible gets it. We need HUD to continue to invest essential funding for homeless assistance grants, and whatever regulatory waivers need to be continued and expanded so that we can continue to be effective and nimble in these challenging times. So I just want to say thank you for listening to this address, and I look forward to working with you on all of these initiatives and having more successes to share with you next year.
Thank you so much, Caitlin. This is the reality that we're trying to change in our state so that every Rhode Islander has a safe, secure, affordable place to call home. This is the work in which our honorees have shown tremendous courage, determination, and fire. And now to begin the awards portion of our breakfast, a message from Rhode Island Senior Senator Jack Reed, who will present the Jack Reed Advocacy Award to the incomparable Michelle Dusso.
Thank you to Caitlin and the Rhode Island Coalition for the Homeless for hosting this wonderful event. I would like to acknowledge the leadership of Governor McKee, Senator Whitehouse, Congressman Langevin, Congressman Cicilline, and all the partners who are committed to ending homelessness. I'd also like to congratulate Ruth Diamond Manson, Kevin Simon, and Sojourner House on their well-deserved awards. Now, it is my great honor to present this year's Jack Reed Advocacy Award to Michelle Dusso. Michelle is the founder and director of Power for Good, a consulting firm that provides services to build, grow, and strengthen nonprofits, coalitions, and communities with a focus on strategy, social justice, equity, and access. Michelle spent over a decade leading Youth Pride, Inc., the only statewide organization in Rhode Island dedicated to meeting the social, emotional, and educational needs of LGBTQ+ youth. She has worked tirelessly with a host of social service and community impact organizations to lead a cross-sector effort to prevent and end youth homelessness. Her outstanding advocacy, engagement, and organizing has made a positive difference for many young people experiencing homelessness, especially LGBTQ+ youth. As you know, LGBTQ+ youth experience homelessness at higher rates than their peers. Conflict over sexual orientation or gender identity can lead to trauma perpetuated by the very people who should be supporting and protecting them. Well, these young people have a great supporter, a fierce protector, and an unwavering advocate in Michelle Dusso. Her leadership, vision, and action to empower young people to raise their collective voices has made a difference, and it has helped make Rhode Island a better, more inclusive place for all. I am proud to present this year's Jack Reed Advocacy Award to Michelle Dusso. Congratulations, Michelle.
Thank you so much, Senator Reed, and congratulations, Michelle. Felicidades. The floor is yours. We'd love to hear from you now.
Great, thank you, Christina. And thank you to the coalition for the honor. I really appreciate Senator Reed's kind words and all he's done to inspire the award itself. To my fellow awardees, congratulations. It's an honor to be among you. And when I thought about speaking with you today about our work to prevent and end unaccompanied youth homelessness, I of course thought, we could talk about direct cash transfers, meeting the urgency of the moment, all the things that I, stress y'all about on every day. But today I thought, since we're having those conversations in other spaces, and because we have the opportunity to steward $3.5 million of YHDP investment, I decided instead to focus on appreciation and gratitude. Because joy has a place in this movement too, right? We all know that good things usually begin with good people, and this is no different. So I am eternally grateful that Jim, Dee Dee, and Karen said yes to creating a street outreach program that focused on youth when they had every reason to be skeptical. I'm of course grateful for folks like Alex, Maria, Elizabeth, Tori, Claire, Kat, Stephanie, Laura, Lisa, Caroline, Mike, Stephen, Tatiana, and literally hundreds of other folks who have and are helping to build this plane as we fly it. As you can imagine, my family's support to jump headlong into the unknown is life-giving. They'll accept condolences in the form of chocolate, pizza, direct cash transfers. They're not picky. And of course, I'm grateful beyond words to the young folks who lead us in this work. Folks like Jacob, Maddie, Ten, Cameron, Sophia, Benji, Darian, Teresa, Sarai, Jasly, Sereni, and countless others who continue, again, to lead the way. A big part of what makes this work so special and so compelling, especially in this moment, is that ours is a movement for change anchored in love, hope, and community. When talking about social change, James Baldwin said, "It's a very mysterious thing, isn't it? And the key is love." I believe rather than, the soft, sentimental love, he was talking about revolutionary love. The kind of love that makes a choice to put in the work. For ourselves, for each other, even those who oppose us, in order to transform the world for all of us. The kind of love that calls us to fiercely, unwaveringly, and boldly lift and liberate. Likewise, our hope isn't blind optimism, but is connected to our duty to ourselves and each other, to living into the legacy of those who came before us, and to acting as if it were possible to radically transform things, to being audacious even as we strategically take baby steps towards our grand liberatory vision. Audre Lorde reminded us that without community, there is no liberation. That our division, suspicion, and inaction only keep things as they are and does not serve us. As we continue to build this youth-centered response to homelessness, it isn't about any one individual or organization. It's about our connectedness. It's about mobilizing our individual and collective power to flip problematic scripts and tables and craft entirely new ones that meaningfully redistribute power and resources. It's this sense of love, hope, and community. This is why we continue to elevate and honor young people as leaders in and of this work. It's what's enabled us to build a shared vision for transformation that will end unaccompanied youth homelessness in Rhode Island. And it's how we've moved from literally $0 committed by the COC to prevent and end unaccompanied youth homelessness to a nearly $4 million investment in less than 5 years. So let's keep doing that. Let's favor solidarity and collective action, be instigators of trust, co-conspirators for equity and justice, unashamed dreamers and makers of possibilities, and let's create spaces so those we work with and for can do the same. According to Bayard Rustin, we need in every community a group of angelic troublemakers. I don't know that I've ever been accused of being angelic, but I sure am grateful to be part of this community, for our troublemaking work together, and for the honor of this award. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michelle, for your incredible, inspiring words and for everything that you have done and continue to do. It is a true honor to call you a colleague and especially a friend. Congratulations again. And now it's my pleasure to introduce a message from my congressman and yours, if you live in Rhode Island's 1st Congressional District, Representative David Cicilline, who will introduce our next honoree, the legendary Ruth Diamond Madsen.
Thank you for the kind introduction, and thank you to the Rhode Island Coalition to End Homelessness for inviting me to say a few words today and for all the great work you do every single day. The impact of your advocacy, the services you provide, and your dedication to the mission of preventing and ending homelessness in Rhode Island is extraordinary. It's an honor to join you today with so many partners in our collective effort to ensure no Rhode Islander experiences homelessness. For the last 19 months, our country and our state have been engaged in an unprecedented response to a public health crisis. And the coalition has been at the forefront of the COVID-19 response from day one. Staffing the response team, to managing emergency shelters, to organizing mobile testing and vaccine distribution, your work has saved lives and helped contain the spread of this deadly virus. We are so grateful for the devotion, compassion, and urgency with which you have responded on behalf of Rhode Islanders experiencing homelessness during this pandemic. What is even more impressive is that the advocacy, policy, and constituent engagement that the coalition has led for years did not skip a beat during COVID. And you continue your relentless efforts to combat homelessness as we work towards our recovery, as we build back better as a state and nation. I'm delighted to join you today to celebrate the courage and collective achievements of all the partners working to prevent and end homelessness in our state, and to recognize the exceptional contributions of this year's award winners. The Sister Carol McGovern Memorial Award is given annually to a person who has spent the last 5 years dedicated to fighting homelessness. Honorees of this award have provided extensive service through direct interventions with individuals experiencing homelessness and advocate for social change and actions that will help address the root causes of homelessness. This year, I'm proud to present the Sister Carol McGovern Memorial Award to Ruth Diamond Madsen. As an advocate in the fight to end homelessness, Ruth has served as a speaker with the Voices of Homelessness team, a volunteer outreach worker with the Mathewson Street Church, and a gifted singer with the Tenderloin Opera Company. Ruth is now pursuing certification as a peer recovery specialist with the Parent Support Network of Rhode Island. As a member of the Voices of Homelessness team, she has shared her experience with homelessness to raise awareness and advocate for meaningful change. Through her efforts, Ruth has helped tear down the stigma surrounding homelessness, and she has been an invaluable voice in the effort to ensure every Rhode Islander who experiences homelessness is treated with dignity and respect. True to her selfless nature, Ruth would like to dedicate this award to her late brother, United States Marine combat veteran and Tampa police officer, Jesse Madsen. It is now my honor to present the Sister Carol McGovern Memorial Award to Ruth Diamond Madsen. Congratulations.
Thank you, Congressman. I am so honored and proud to give the floor now to my dear colleague and very dear friend, Diamond Madsen, this year's recipient of the Sister Carol McGovern Memorial Award. Diamond, the floor is yours.
I want to tell everybody, first off, thank you this morning. You know, my life hasn't been easy and it's been a struggle, you know, and this year it's made me realize who I am. It's made me step up to the plate that I am. I'm sorry, I'm crying. I don't cry. I need everybody to know that first. I don't cry, you know. I dedicate this award to my brother. You know, my brother knew me when I was an addict. My brother knew me when I was doing a lot of not nice things out there in the street and everything. And, you know, I got to talk to him over FaceTime and everything before the Super Bowl. And my last words to him were, you know, be safe. And, you know, I love you. I want to see you. And I found out March 7th, that night, that my brother was killed by a wrong way driver, you know, and to say it rocked my core is a light word, you know. Everything I do now is in memory of my brother, you know. We're having this award ceremony right now, and I'm still getting calls and telling people I'm in an award ceremony because I got 2 people right now that are getting ready to lose their housing. One of them just missed, I guess, an inspection, and they want to evict this person because of inspection. You know, I'm honored that I get this award. My heart is humble. I'm very humble with this, you know, but it's not only me that's on this forefront and the people that are out here now. There's more people that are out here that are not getting this award that, you know, they need to be recognized too, and we need to be out here. You know, I was out last night and I did the George Wiley rent relief program last night, and I met a lot of nice people that are in this cause for me, and they were asking me, where the people in Pawtucket sleep that are homeless on any given night. I said, go to the bus terminal. Go to the bus terminal. That's where they sleep. They have no provisions. They're outside. They sleep under the bus atrium, thing like that. And my words to them again were, you know, we got to get these people coffee. We got to get these people a warm meal. I'm thankful that they get the sandwiches, but you need something to sustain you at the end of the night. And that's why they're drinking. I'm not excusing what they do, but they have to drink something to stay warm because there's no shelters here in Pawtucket, no shelters here in Central Falls. I fight this fight because I dedicated to my life. You know, when I didn't have anybody there for me, there were people that would stand up for me. You know, I'm gonna say a story. I don't think the lady's watching it, but I'm gonna tell her. You know, when I was at the core of my worst I could be at Crossroads, I got a counselor named Michelle Cantini, and it's funny because I ran through every single counselor that was in that program there, and I couldn't trust anybody there. I didn't want to trust anybody. I didn't feel anybody cared, and you know, I was sitting there like Christina knows me. I was sitting there with my arms crossed and my little face pudged out, like I don't want to be here. I don't want to do any of this, you know. And that's how I was. And she came in, and before she came in, they told her that this girl's gonna eat you alive. Like she doesn't deal well with anybody. She just doesn't care anymore. And that wasn't true, you know, because I told her, no disrespect to you, Michelle, but I told her, I said, I don't like white people. She said, well, I'm sorry, your own kind don't want you, so you're stuck with me. Now, what are we gonna do? And from there, I learned how to change my life. You know, I got certified. I'm a vet tech now. I could do the defibrillators on animals. She taught me a lot of what I am today, and just being able to be around the people that I needed to be around to change me from who I was to who I am today. I'm so thankful. There's not even enough time to say thank you to like everybody that stood by me in my worst. You know, I'm not that person anymore. I tell everybody I can be that person, but I don't want to be. I'm the change. I'm the advocate. And I say this with all my heart. I am one of the only few advocates that actually goes out on a daily basis to go meet these people where they're at, ask them what they need, get in touch with Kevin, and we bring the stuff to them. We get it to them. You know, Kevin is on here. He gets an award with me. I love Kevin from the bottom of my heart. You know, we work like peanut butter and jelly to fight this homeless thing. And no matter what, you know, we're gonna do this. I don't know how yet. I keep praying that somebody's gonna bless me with a building so I can have a shelter, so I can give these people somewhere warm. It's cold. You know, it's severely cold outside. Imagine sleeping out there all night with no jacket, no socks, just none of that. And no hope and no disparity on what you're gonna do with your life. Like, yes, you are lost, but you're not lost without a cause. You know, state representatives, state house people, mayors of cities of people, I need for you to please get out here on these streets. I can't even say, let me correct that, because Mr. McGee, he came out to Wilson Street and he tried to help Wilson Street. I'm truly thankful for that. But what about Pawtucket? What about these other cities that have this? We need help. And for the ones that can't speak, I'm speaking for you. They want a bed. They want to change. If you can't see it in the change, I will bring 25 of them to you that have a story that want to change, that are just like me. Only they just need a chance to do it. You know, I'm truly honored. I'm thankful for this award. I can't wait till we can do a breakfast next year that we can see each other again. But you know, today it's my day. If anybody's free later on today, I'm going to have mimosa. I've never had one of these. I'd like to invite anybody for that. I mean, these are things I've never had. So like, I'm trying to live the good life. You know, I don't want to remember the bad. Today's not a day to remember the bad. Today's a day to remember we're all here for one cause. Everybody, please, from the bottom of my heart, stop fighting with each other. It doesn't matter who gets 5,000 and you want to get 2,000. Money's not the object here. The object is get these people off the street, get them into shelter, and get them warm for the winter. I don't want to get another call. And I know Kevin doesn't either, where we have to go identify somebody because they have our numbers in their pockets. That's not a good feeling. I'm tired of identifying people. I want to go to their house and say, oh my God, I'm so happy for you. Can I bring you a housewarming gift? Something new. We got to try something, you know. I'm just honored for this award, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Diamond. Thank you so much. I mean, first of all, cheers to that. And I hope you have the best mimosa that has ever been poured in the history of brunches or any other kinds of meal or get together, because you richly deserve that, and you more than richly deserve this award. Thank you so much for not only your passion and dedication, but your unwavering courage and if courage is action and resolution in the face of adversity, you are the most courageous person I know, because even when you've confided in me that you feel fear, you have never, ever once let that hold you back from speaking the truth that needs to be said. So thank you. I love you very much. And I'm so honored to award you today and to join in honoring and celebrating you. And now it gives me great pleasure, it gives me great pleasure to introduce a message from Congressman Jim Langevin, introducing the next phenomenal honoree, Kevin Simon.
Hello, everyone. I'm Congressman Jim Langevin, and I'd like to thank the Rhode Island Coalition to End Homelessness for inviting me to join their annual Celebration of Courage event. I'm so honored to celebrate the folks in our community doing incredible work every day to tackle homelessness. This year, I have the privilege of introducing the winner of the Sister Jody Soares and John Cullen Memorial Award for Direct Service, Kevin Simon. Kevin is a person who volunteers so much of his time to serve others. He's a native Rhode Islander, but he spent time living in cities across the country. From Central Texas all the way back home to Providence, Kevin has always given back to the communities he's called home. When he moved home to Rhode Island, Kevin started volunteering at the Sunday morning friendship breakfast at Mathewson Street United Methodist Church. The breakfasts are a time for people experiencing homelessness, housing insecurity, or food insecurity to stop by and have a hot meal. But they're also an opportunity to build meaningful friendships that can shorten the duration folks experience homelessness. Today, Kevin is the Director of Outreach and Communications at Mathewson Street. Since his days as a volunteer, his role has expanded. Kevin helps Mathewson partner with other service organizations to connect people to mental health services, addiction counseling, domestic violence shelters, and emergency shelters. This meaningful work addresses many of the root causes of homelessness, and it hasn't gone unnoticed. So, it is now my distinct pleasure to present the Sister Jody Soares and John Cohen Memorial Award for Direct Service to Kevin Simon. Congratulations, Kevin.
Apologies. Felicidades, Kevin, on receiving the Sister Judy Soares and John Cohen Memorial Award for Direct Service. And now we would love to hear from you. The floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Christina, for the introduction. Thank you, Congressman Langevin, for the kind words and for all that you do throughout our state. Congratulations to Michelle, the Sojourner House, and to my great friend Diamond on your recognition today. Love you, Diamond. A huge thank you to the Coalition for bringing us together today, and especially for the amazing work that you do day in and day out. I'm going to steal a few words from a good friend, someone everybody here knows and loves and respects. She was recognized last year for her amazing work, Sarah Malucci, by saying, "I am uncomfortably humbled by this." Given what's going on in our state, our country, our world, it's hard to find words of joy or optimism right now. The varying states of crisis surrounding our friends around the state is at a level that I have never seen. But there is a word that is used very frequently in the Mathewson Street community, and that is hope. I have hope that we, meaning everyone on this call, everyone who isn't here, that wakes up every day to give everything they have to make our community a better place. And most importantly, our friends who are struggling, who are the true testaments of kindness, compassion, and the power of the human spirit will turn this thing around. I would be remiss if I didn't take the time to say a few words about why I am here. For those who might be unfamiliar, Mathewson Street is a church located in the center of Providence. It's where I landed some 6 years ago by a stroke of luck. It is a place where the doors are open to anyone and everyone, regardless of religious beliefs, sexual orientation, or any other stigma that can leave people isolated from society. This isn't something new to Mathewson. It is a place that has stood up for what is right in the world for decades. The stories of members of our community 30, 40, 50 years ago, bonding together to meet the need are endless, and that continues today. We are blessed to have a community who sacrifice time and give their talents to be there for each other. From members of our congregation who have supported important matters for so many years, to our Saturday morning crew, to our Sunday breakfast group, and to all the folks who come in Monday through Friday to make Mathewson a safe place for all, I say thank you. And Diamond, thank you for spearheading so much of that. To everyone I've had the pleasure of crossing paths and working with, especially over the past year and a half during the pandemic, I hope you understand the importance of what you do. I could spend the next 10 minutes reading names of people who inspire me and make me grateful to open my eyes every day and continue to be a part of this community. If there's any silver lining over the last year and a half, it was watching everyone come together and work for a common cause to fight to ensure the safety of all of us through COVID. I hope that mentality continues as we do everything we can to help provide the basic human needs that everyone deserves. To my friends, the ones who inspire me the most, I thank you. Without comparison, through struggle, you are the ones who show us how we should all be. The ones who give the most, the ones who love the most, and the ones who always find a way to smile in the face of adversity. Hope is a powerful thing. Sometimes it's all that we've got, and it shines most brightly in your eyes. May we continue to find ways to learn from each and every one of you. The power and beauty of leaning on one another through the difficult times, to sharing the beauty of sheer elation and moments of triumph. If all of us here take just a little bit of that spirit each and every day and continue to work together, I have hope that we will turn the corner. I have to single out one person, and he's going to wring my neck for doing so, but certain people come into your life and change the trajectory of it. Scott Budnick is that person for me. Thank you, brother, for showing me through your tireless efforts to helping those in need how we should live this life. And thank you for everyone here today for allowing me to be a part of this community. May we continue to strengthen the bond between all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kevin, for your incredibly powerful words. I am deeply moved and deeply inspired by what you said. And thank you so much for everything you've done and continue to do in service of our fellow Rhode Islanders. Congratulations again on your award. And now it's my great honor to introduce a message from Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, introducing the recipient of this year's Impact Award, the incredible, incredible Sojourner House.
Hello, everyone. I'm delighted to be joining the Coalition to End Homelessness to celebrate the 2021 Courage Awards. The coronavirus pandemic has created new challenges for people experiencing homelessness, making it even more difficult to connect individuals and families with the services they need. Many organizations in Rhode Island have stepped up and gone above and beyond the call to help vulnerable communities in this difficult time. One such organization is Sojourner House, which has spent the last 40 years providing comprehensive services to victims and survivors of domestic abuse. Of all the reasons for homelessness, fear and threats of violence is one of the most insidious. Sojourner House operates the largest residential services program for victims of abuse, including 3 emergency shelters and over 120 apartment units. They've grown to offer a wide range of services from mental health counseling to legal assistance and are dedicated to helping people rebuild their lives. The delegation recently announced $500,000 in federal funding for Sojourner House as our recognition of Sojourner House's great work. And we've worked to fix the so-called VOCA formula, which will send additional funds to Sojourner House in the years ahead. It's my pleasure to now present the 2021 Impact Award to Sojourner House. Congratulations to your director, Vanessa Volz, and to all the folks who make your terrific work possible. Bless you.
Thank you very much, Senator Whitehouse, and felicidades, Sojourner House. It is now my distinct honor and privilege to introduce Sojo's fearless leader, Executive Director Vanessa Volz. Vanessa?
Thank you so much, Christina. Thank you so much, Senator Whitehouse, for your very kind words about our work at Sojourner House. It is an honor for us to be here today. I am accepting the award on behalf of the entire staff and board of directors here at Sojourner House. We could not do this work without each member of this really dynamic, passionate team. It is my honor to be the executive director. For those of you who are not as familiar with our work, we are a victim services agency. We specifically work with victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. And like many of us in the human services area, this past year and a half has been one of the most challenging times in our agency's history. The number of requests that we fielded for additional help really was at many times overwhelming and impossible to fill. But my staff continued to rise to the occasion, continued to provide round-the-clock support to victims and survivors who needed desperately our help. And I can't thank everyone enough for doing that work. I also can't thank our community partners enough. The Coalition to End Homelessness, other community service agencies and providers have been instrumental in making sure that our clients get the services that they need. This is a team effort. We cannot work in isolation. And I think that the pandemic demonstrated that more than ever, that we have to work together. I also want to dedicate this award to the very victims and survivors that we serve at Sojourner House every day. Oftentimes when I'm speaking about the work that we do here at the agency, individuals who may not be as familiar with the dynamics of intimate partner violence will often ask me, why didn't that client leave earlier? Or why did someone stay in an abusive relationship for years on end before leaving, or maybe never leaving? Many of our clients, many individuals in abusive situations never leave. And that question comes from a place of not necessarily understanding the dynamics of abuse, of the intersectional nature of domestic and sexual violence, about economic abuse, about psychological abuse, about lack of affordable housing that can make it really difficult to leave an abusive situation. And I've been here at Sojourner House for 10 years, and I can honestly say the reason why I am still so passionate and so excited to get up every day to work with my team here is because I see the direct impact we're able to have on the individuals and families that we serve. And I give all the credit to those victims and survivors for having the courage to seek help, for having the courage to want to embark on a new future for their family. Many of our clients have small children that they are also working to rebuild their lives as well. And it is inspiring, continues to be inspiring. And we are here in the community to continue to serve them. That's why we're here. And I think it's most important that we recognize those individuals and families. And in closing, I just want to also acknowledge that I have had the distinct honor to serve as the board president of the Coalition to End Homelessness for the last 3 years. And I have thoroughly enjoyed working with Caitlin, the executive director, other board members, and the exceptionally talented staff of the coalition over the last few years. They do phenomenal work. They have been an amazing support to Sojourner House throughout not just the pandemic, but before. I know they do so much for other community agencies here in Rhode Island, and it truly has been a pleasure to collaborate with them and to serve as the president of the board. So again, thank you so much for this honor. We accept it on behalf of all the staff, all the board members, and all the clients that Sojourner House serves. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Felicidades to you and your entire team, Vanessa. Your impact is felt across our state and across the country. The coalition works with us. We partner not only in our state level advocacy here in Rhode Island, but also federally through our shared partnership or shared membership in the National Low Income Housing Coalition, working with our federal delegation to secure resources that expand access to housing and end and prevent homelessness in Rhode Island. Thank you tremendously for everything that you do and have continued, that you have done and continue to do. And thank you again to all of our incredible awardees so much. Our whole Rhode Island community is better because of you and your continued courage and your continued work. You inspire us here today, today and always. And it's an honor to be able to honor you. And now, before we say adios, I want to turn it back to our executive director, the fantastic Caitlin Frimeri. Caitlin.
Thank you, Christina. And I want to say a quick thank you to Angelina and Emily and Louisa and all the fabulous staff members of the coalition and board members and volunteers that made today possible. Their work really is tremendous, and I'm so grateful for them. And as others have mentioned, grateful for everyone else. And I think my last remarks are just going to be returning to the call to action, right? So you've heard about how hard everything is right now, but you've heard that we have made some progress, but there is still so much left to do. And it's not just about building that affordable housing and funding that with the American Recovery Act, but it's really addressing the urgency of this crisis right now, this winter, tomorrow, next week. And please, please work together with us to get our communities and the state to recognize this as the crisis it is, and to continue the collaborations that will address it and ensure that those 50+ families that are living outside in their cars right now don't need to. So thank you so much for your participation today. And what's next? Let's get to work. Thank you.